Hey y'all, it's your girl Emmy. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to the Emmy Experience. We talk about everything and anything under the sun. How are you doing today? How are you feeling? Are you feeling this energy shift? Are you feeling the expansion and contraction that is in the air leading up to December 21st? The beginning of Age of Aquarius, darling. It's the time. The time is now. And today's video is on the Jupiter Saturn conjunction that's happening on the winter solstice. So before I go any further, make sure you hit that subscribe button, you hit that like button, because that would really help me out. And let's get started. So the Jupiter Saturn conjunction is happening on the winter solstice. So a conjunction is when two planets, they are close in degrees, and it basically when two planets are close in the same sign, especially in the same degree, it creates like a blend of both of the energies. The Jupiter Saturn conjunction, they're both happening in Aquarius. I believe they're both going to be in 0-degree Aquarius. So it basically makes a blend of both of the energies. And Jupiter's all about luck, it's about expansion, it's about growth, it's about manifestation, it's abundance, it's expansion. Where Saturn, on the other hand, is the complete opposite. It's karma, it's rules, it's restrictions, regulations, it's boundaries and limitations, and then things coming to a close. So when we have a Jupiter Saturn conjunction, it's two very opposing energies coming together, and especially with it being in a rebellious sign like Aquarius, it kind of creates a neutral blend of both of the energies, since one is more of a positive sign and one is, I don't really want to call Saturn a negative sign, but Saturn is all about limitation, it's about being practical, it's about resourcefulness, where Jupiter is all about expanding. So we have a neutral blend of limitation, of limit and growth. A little bit about Aquarius energy. Even though it's a rebellious sign, with both of these planets being in Aquarius, it's kind of bringing out more of a grassroots emphasis. So, you know, before everything's been it trickles down, where with this Aquarius energy that we're entering into, it's going to be more of a building from the bottom up, if that makes sense. So another thing is Aquarius is about rebellion, and especially with Saturn being in Aquarius. First of all, so we're entering a new 200-year cycle with this air energy. So the last 200 years, Saturn and Jupiter have been in Earth signs for these shifts when they enter into the winter solstice. So yes, every 20 years though, it changes. So they go into another Earth sign. So now we're entering into the 200-year cycle of it being in air. So it's starting off with Aquarius. The first time that we're seeing this in 800 years. Some people are referring to the star that led the wise men to Jesus. I don't know too much about that though, but just throwing that out there if that's useful for anybody. I've heard it be explained. I don't know who some people are, but you catch my drift. The internet, that's the information I found on the internet. But so yeah, on the 17th, Saturn is moving into Aquarius at 0 degrees. And then on the 19th, Jupiter will be moving into Aquarius. And then on the 21st is when these beautiful planets are going to come together. The fact that also like this conjunction, they're both happening at 0 degrees. That's also, so the degrees with planets, they go from 0 to 30. 0 to 29 or 1 to 30 depending on who you're speaking to, but when it starts at 0, it's the very beginning of the energy. So the fact that we're not only are we starting a new cycle, a new 200-year cycle of air, it's also beginning on 0, and it's also happening at the winter solstice. So everything is lining up to begin anew. We're entering a new cycle. You can even say we're entering the Age of Aquarius, which it does seem like to me. I know some people are saying the Age of Aquarius began in 2012, and other people are saying that the Age of Aquarius hasn't begun yet. But to me, because right now we have Saturn and Jupiter that's about to enter Aquarius. Pluto will be moving into Aquarius in 2024. So all of the planets that I just mentioned, they are all the outer planets, which means that they affect more of it's more of a collective effect and a generational effect. So with Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter all moving into Aquarius, that we're entering the Age of Aquarius, because this is the energy that is going to be affecting us as above, so below. Earth being Earth and the other planets and the other dimensions are all following the tone of the energy that is being set by the stars and the planets. So they all make a dance or a song together, like a band. Think of it as a band. You know, you have the lead singer, you have the guitarist and the piano player and the drummer, I guess. So you need all four of them to play the tune. It's not, the beat isn't gonna hit the same without the drummer, and the song won't sound the same without a singer. So I don't know if that really made sense, but that was just my attempt to explain it. Yeah, so since we're entering the 200-year switch, it's also been known as a great mutation. So the mutation of the energies is no longer in Earth, it is moving into air. The switch from Earth to air energy is moving us out of a physical material focus and into a more flexible, intellectual, and creative focus that is associated with air signs and air energy. Then another thing, since these planets are squaring Uranus that's in Taurus at the moment, we definitely will be seeing some quick changes or just changes in general in the financial systems, how we interact and how we treat the earth, property, and the workplace. I feel like those are also going to be big things, big changes that we'll see around the time of this conjunction and possibly following it. So yeah, some of the themes that you'll be seeing around this Jupiter Saturn conjunction, basically, for those of you who don't know, the last 2000, a little bit over 2000, like 2100 years, we've been in the age of Pisces. So the age of Pisces, it represents, well, Pisces is the fish, for those who don't know, and it's a fish sign, it's a water sign, it's ruled by Neptune. So when we were in the age of Pisces, we were in the age of disillusionment. We were also in the age of monotheistic religion. So a lot of it was, so the age of Pisces actually began around the time that Jesus was born, December 21st, right before he was born. The age of Pisces was also very religious focused. You know how Jesus is always referred to as a fish, and there was a lot of themes, stories in the Bible of him dealing with fish, or like turning bread into fish, or rocks, turning something into a fish, or to eat bread and making bread and wine or something like that. You know, I don't really remember. It's my bad. 8 years of private school and went out the brain. Yeah, so it was very Christianity focused. So age of Pisces is associated with the age of disillusionment. It's the energy that affects all of us collectively. So when we were in this age of Pisces being the age of disillusionment, it's assimilation, it's deception. We can't tell. It's like there was like a veil over us, and we can't tell like what's real and what's fake, right? So everyone's thinking that, like, what's the sheep mentality? Everyone's kind of thinking the same. So for example, media has been lying to us. Our leaders have been lying to us. We haven't been able to discern or been shown what was true. Media is telling you, oh, you need to look this type of way to be considered beautiful, or they're selling you propaganda, you know, that the other side is whatever, you know. So the reason why I bring this up is because, so remember in 2012 how everybody thought the world was going to end in 2012 on December 21st, and that's due to the Mayans, right? So you have to remember that the Mayans, they didn't use the same calendar that we do now. The Mayans used the Julian calendar, where we today use the Gregorian calendar. So with the Julius calendar is actually 8 years behind. Crazy, right? So do you see where I'm going with this? So the end of the world, locusts, fires, floods, all the natural disasters that we're seeing, governments crumbling everywhere, people uprising everywhere, right? It kind of seems like this is that time, no? When the Mayans were referring to, so yeah, let me go back. I know I'm kind of going a little zoop. You would have thought I had coffee today, but I did not. So 2012, December 21st, they thought the world was going to end. And when they said the world was going to end and everybody was freaking out in 2012 thinking, oh my God, and like people were selling their homes and selling, you know, getting bunkers and, you know, doing all this shit, kind of like what they did this year with this COVID shit. But the Mayans were not referring to a physical death, but a death of consciousness. They knew that the ages were shifting because the Mayans were also people who heavily followed the stars and astrology and astronomy. So they knew that in 2012, December 21st, this Saturn-Jupiter conjunction was going to happen and mark the beginning of the end, being the end of Pisces as we enter the age of Aquarius. So it's not a physical death, it's a consciousness death. The consciousness of the collective of our world as we know it is ending. It's a death of collective consciousness. The veil of disillusionment that we've been blinded by has been lifted, like officially at the time of this video, because I'm gonna post it hopefully before the 21st. But it's funny because like the last 2 years, everyone's been like, oh, like get woke, or you're so woke, or woke, like all this like term of being woke, and it's like woke, like woken up, because Pisces is ruled by Neptune. It's very dreamy. It's, you know, it rules the psychic with things that happen when you're asleep and what you connect to when you're asleep. So even that term of being awoke, you're awake, you're awakened, because Aquarius is a very intellectual sign, not afraid to march at the beat of its own drum, and it's a very individual, or like not afraid to. It's basically the opposite of Pisces in a way. There was this emphasis of being naive and not being able to make that discernment, or lack of discernment, during Age of Pisces. And now we're entering this critical thinking period, this truth-seeking period. We're not following the rules that society is pushing down our throats anymore. This shift that we're experiencing right now is what the Mayans were talking about. This is the end of the world. This is the beginning of something new. And some people may argue and say that we really did start to feel it back in 2012. And I actually have this theory that the summer of love that was really big in the 60s, I feel like that kind of raised Earth's vibration and kind of was able to push this energy of Age of Aquarius onto us sooner, because you have to remember, energy is not contained. It's not like, okay, as of exactly December 21st at 12 a.m., you know, it's boom, the light switch has been flipped and it's officially Age of Aquarius. That's not how this works, and that's not what because it's energy can't be contained. Energy, it flows. So, and also you have to keep in mind that the ages, they last like 2,150 or 60 years or something like that. So of course we're not gonna feel 100% of this Age of Aquarius energy right now. We probably won't even really be able to feel it for maybe another 100 years, because right now we're in that transition period of Pisces to Aquarius. So we're still feeling so before this date, we were getting this Aquarius energy of being for the community, of, you know, breaking down these government structures and all the truth coming out. So many scandals have been coming out on a political level, on a government level, even in your own lives. You know, people who've been lying to you or been withholding information from you, that it's coming out. It's all coming out right now. And that's because the veil has been lifted, baby. It's like a really ugly bride. I feel like the energy, the presence of Age of Aquarius is here, but even after December 21st, the presence of Pisces is still here. And but we will be seeing a lot more, you know, we might be seeing some resistance to this change, especially with people in power. Also, like, people have this utopian idea of Age of Aquarius, which I do believe will happen. I just don't believe it's going to happen like in our lifetimes, if that makes sense, because the ages are so long. Unless you're going to be living for the next 150 years, you might not see the switch. You catch my drift? Especially with like governments, I feel like there's definitely going to be a lot of people switching. Like, there's going to be, hey, we don't want these people in power anymore, or people who know that they shouldn't be in power anymore are going to be like not giving it up, but it's going to be like dropped, if that makes sense, or they're going to be dropped. But it doesn't necessarily mean that people who are actually for the community are going to step in, because we were in a 200-year cycle of earth signs with the Jupiter and Saturn. So we had a lot of greedy, materialistic leaders who wanted to just hoard things. So now we're entering the intellectual sign of Aquarius, right? So we're going to have a lot more of intellectual leaders and competent leaders at America. Hopefully. You never know with this country. But yeah, intellectual leaders, but that doesn't necessarily mean that every leader is going to be having this utopian Aquarius humanitarian like energy. It could happen in some places. It really just depends on how shit goes down. Age of Aquarius, it's here. You're seeing a lot more people that are focused on the collective. Like with this, when Black Lives Matter this year first started, we saw so many people of other races and groups coming together with Black Lives Matter, and it was all over the news. Like, wow, so many different people are coming together to support this cause that doesn't necessarily affect them in a way. But that's the thing with Age of Aquarius, it's a humanitarian sign. It's for the people. Even though Aquarius is a individualistic sign, it's still a very humanitarian sign. So there's this approach that's going to be happening during this Age of Aquarius, where it's understanding that what's happening over there is going to affect me here. So there is no you are other than me. It's if you hurt, I hurt kind of mentality, and how can we be there for the community, and a lot of grassroots. It's a lot of building things from the bottom up with Aquarius. So not following the rules, free thinking, made a lot more people turning away from religion and turning to a more spiritual or whatever their ancestors practice. Like I feel like there's going to be a lot more of people trying to know what their culture practiced like a long time ago. I feel like people are going to be trying to reconnect with that, especially with history and confidence in being yourself. People aren't going to be, there's no real need to really fit in or like try to fit in, because there's more of a confidence in being yourself, breaking free from status quo, but also the unity aspect will also be there. And technological advancements. Y'all think you've seen shit with these devices, because Aquarius rules innovation, and it also rules the internet and also rules technology. So we'll be mind blown what will come up in the next few years, especially with things that are going to better living conditions and life expectancies. I feel like they're really going to start coming out with ways to live longer in maybe possibly unethical ways, or like unmoralistic ways, if that makes sense. Yeah, unity is also a big one. I feel like especially unity between countries that may have been fighting or have histories of fighting. There'll be ways of reaching understanding. Of course, it's not gonna happen right now. I'm not saying all these things are happening right now, because this is a 2,150 or 60 year cycle. So this is what should be happening throughout the next 2,000 years. We may be able to get some sprinkles. Okay. It's an upgraded consciousness. It's an upgraded earth. Aquarius is a healing sign. It's a healer sign. So I definitely think that there will be more people, especially people who have been on the path of spirituality and ancestral knowledge, are going to be booped. We're just gonna be beamed up. We're just gonna be leveling up, y'all. Everyone's gonna be leveling up. Everyone's going to be leveling up from the date of December 31st. We all going up. We all going up, whether you want to or not. I mean, are you gonna stay up? That's the real question. It's a rebirth. It's a new way to see the world. Also, money, equalization of money. Before, it's been very, because it was that earth energy. I want to keep this money to myself. And then, whatever they say is going to trickle down. That never really does trickle down. But now we're entering this phase of grassroots, of community. So it's going to be, I feel like, there's going to be a change in the financial system and like equalization of money, and a lot of like building from the bottom up. And I want to say there's going to be a lot more ways to communicate or like come together, especially with the internet. I feel like, yes, right now we can FaceTime, and you can send an email, you can text, you can Zoom people all around the world. But I feel like there's going to be a bigger, and then you can also, the internet has made so many ways to like people to find their communities, and when they live in a community that doesn't have their communities. But I feel like we're going to see a more like I don't even know like what it's going to be. I just know that it's going to be a lot easier to communicate with your peoples in farther locations is what I'm trying to get at. But I hope this video was helpful. I hope I was able to explain the 5D consciousness boost, superpower gaining, psychic ability increasing event of this Jupiter Saturn conjunction, the great mutation. I hope I wasn't talking too fast. I wasn't really planning on doing this video. I just been seeing so many things on Instagram about what's going on December 21st and on Instagram, and no one's really been explaining like what it is, so I thought I could just ramble real quick for y'all. But I hope this was helpful. I hope you got a better information of this conjunction, what it means, and that we are entering the Age of Aquarius. Insert Age of Aquarius by the Fifth Dimension song. I would sing it for you, but I don't know all the words. It's a 60s black band. Visuals are very 60s, but it's cute. And we are bringing Earth, we're bringing Mother Earth back to the 5D. Am I the only one that's excited about this? Let me know, comment down below. And don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe.